Hi friends, welcome back to Sheena's Homestead. Today we have a great episode. I am going to give you a tour of my September garden. So we are late in the gardening season and I have a lot of plants starting to die off, but I also have some that are still thriving, and I'll show you some of the things I planted a little later in the season and how it's going. So this is a set of cucumbers that I planted as a third round for my family. So I planted in the spring and then I planted twice in the summer, and I have already gotten quite a few cucumbers off of this guy here. And you can see he has tons of flowers still producing. So then another thing I planted late were these green beans. This was also a third round of green beans, and you can see I have a pest problem here, but my green beans are still growing just fine. And I'm gonna get another great harvest out of these little plants. So now the beefy part of this episode, which no pun intended, but my beefsteak tomatoes. I did not get any to ripen on the vine, not one. So I have these over here too. And you can see I've got some disease here, but that's because it's later in the season and the plant is dying off. But prior to that, I mean, they just did not ripen. So then I have a whole bunch of Roma tomatoes that I planted as well, probably about 25 plants. And I did have a lot of pest problems with squirrels and rabbits and also some moles. You can check out some of my videos on how to repel them. I did get it under control, but for the majority of the tomatoes that were left to grow on the vine, they just did not ripen. I mean, we are into September and these tomatoes have been growing since I planted by seed in my house in February, and this is just kind of how it ends. And then I end up picking them off the vine, and then I bring them in the house and I put them in a sunny window and I get them to ripen there. But I want to know what you think. How and why is this happening? I have read across the nation that this has been an issue this 2024 gardening season. So I have my own hypothesis and thoughts behind it, but I would like to know down in the comments, what do you think? And did your tomatoes ripen? Also let me know what zone you're in. I here am on the border of 6A and 6B. So it just fluctuates by year, where literally the line goes like through my yard. But yeah, I would love to know what you think. So I don't know, I have stayed up on my watering. I'm watering right now. We have gone through a drought this year. This is probably the third or fourth year in a row that we have had less rain than we were supposed to have. But I don't know why that would stop tomatoes from turning red. And also why they turn red in the house and not outside on the vine. So let me know what you think. I am excited to hear your answers and your hypotheses. But otherwise, gardening went really well this year. We had some fails and we had some successes. I have never grown eggplant before, and this year I grew eggplant, so that was a win. Another win for me was last year I tried to grow so many pumpkin. If you followed my channel for a while, you saw how many I planted last year, and none of them produced anything. And then this year I didn't plant any pumpkin at all, and I had volunteer pumpkin all over the place, and I have like 15 to 20 giant jack-o'-lantern size pumpkins. So that's pretty interesting and also funny. I also planted potatoes here in this box. You came along for the new edition of that. If you want, I can link that one down below, but it was a pretty simple build. and I did get quite a large harvest out of my potatoes. I did plant some over here too, and I'm hoping that these will ripen before it gets too cold. I have about another month before our frost date, so I think I'm going to be okay on those. But you know me, I'm always replanting my beds. So in my potato bed over here, now I am planting lettuce seeds. So I have them all nice and covered, and I'm hoping to get some lettuce before it gets really, really cold out. And I'm actually considering putting a PVC top over this potato bed to extend my growing season just a little bit. So these are freshly planted. They haven't sprouted yet. I'm just staying on top of my watering here. This one is massive. Little jumping spider right there. I think he's going to be the one that we end up carving. So going back to successes, I think bell peppers were a huge success for me. Well, I guess peppers in general. My cayenne peppers did really, really well, which was awesome. I was able to harvest quite a few of those. I think I'm going to put them in my freeze dryer and make some powder out of them. And then I would say just the fact that I planted 3 rounds of summer crops this year. I started off with all of my seedlings that we winter sowed starting in February and March. And then as the season went on and things started to die off, I just replanted right in that spot. Took the time to do it, covered it nicely so that the birds didn't get to the new seedlings, and I had another harvest. An example of that right here is my squash. This is the 3rd round of squash for me. I have the 2nd over here, and you can see this one is starting to die off. And I should get just a little bit of a harvest out of this one before our first frost. And then of course I had the 1st round that I planted in the spring. So I think it's really important to just keep planting as things go on. And if something doesn't come up or it fails, that's okay. Just keep planting your seeds, and eventually something's gonna grow, right? And don't forget your winter crops right now. So things that we can still be planting are lettuces and carrots and kale. Spinach is a great winter crop, broccoli. There are some varieties of cabbage. Mine is already in full swing, so I'm ready to harvest right now. But there are some really quick varieties of certain things that you can have last into your first frost. In fact, with carrots, they actually get sweeter once a frost has come through your area. So that's just an amazing fact. And I hope that encourages you to keep planting. So anyway, that is a little garden tour for you in September. I hope you enjoyed seeing all that I have growing still and things that I plan on growing continuously. So don't slow down just because winter is coming. There are still things that you can get in the ground. And then to circle back to the tomatoes, I just want to hear what you guys think. I know that it's just been something that everyone has been talking about from east to west coast. So it doesn't matter what growing zone you're in. It seems like everybody has had a lot of problems with tomatoes not ripening this year. And I do know there was also a lot of disease as well. My mother-in-law is an avid tomato and cucumber gardener. I think she's grown those 2 crops for maybe the last 50 years of her life. So when she says she had a hard time, then for me, that's an indicator that, you know, there was something going on. So let me know down below what has happened to you this year. What did you succeed with? What things did you try that were new? And let me know some things that maybe didn't go so well. And maybe I could help you, maybe you could help me, and together we'll have beautiful gardens, because it is always a growing process, not only for the plants, but for us too. It's just something that You gain a little bit more knowledge each and every year that you do it, as long as you keep gardening. So thank you so much for following along with me today. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and I can't wait to hear from you. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you next time on Sheena's Homestead. Goodbye, friends.